guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning after. I am your host, Sharleen Joynt, and today we are recapping the season finale of Listen to Your Heart, season 1, as they kept telling us, which would suggest that there will be future seasons of Listen to Your Heart. I thought this was the perfect length to a Bachelor show. Maybe because it was a spin-off, or I don't know what, the six episodes, 2 hours each. It was just like the perfect amount. It didn't overstay its welcome. I didn't find myself necessarily wanting more. It was just sort of the right, just happy medium of Bachelor spin-off lengths. I felt like a lot of Paradise seasons could afford to take a hint from Listen to Your Heart and maybe trim the fat a bit. This is a great length. So as you guys know, I always go through in chronological order, starting this week with Nashville. So Chris Harrison brings the remaining contestants out on the stage where they will sing next and tells them, "This is the time, guys. Figure out if you can leave this stage and truly spend the rest of your lives together." I thought this was pretty hilarious. It really drove home the one thing we knew was up in the air, and that was how Matt felt about Rudy. And it was pretty clear that he really likes Rudy, as we would come to learn in this episode. It never felt like he was phoning it in with her. But it's not enough for a couple to only date casually, apparently, on Listen to Your Heart. They must be ready to tie the knot at any second, it would seem. So I would say this worked because obviously Matt ends up leaving, and he definitely goes in a bit of a spiral based on this speech. Okay, so the breakup. I gotta say, I think Matt did pretty much nothing wrong here. He was patient with Rudy as she, went and cried in the bathroom, which of course I understand she was upset, but I do think a lot of guys, especially Bachelor franchise guys, might be a little more inclined to passive aggressively list the ways in which she did something wrong, she caused him to lose interest, or maybe, it was something she was or wasn't, or something she had done or hadn't done. He pretty much was like, you're great, like I have nothing to criticize. He was like, I care about you more than you could imagine. And I love how later on when they were talking to the rest of the group, it was never like, oh, I can't do this anymore. It was, we can't do this anymore. He made it sound like it was a joint decision, which obviously it wasn't, but it was the gentlemanly thing to do to sort of make it sound like they had come to that conclusion together. I just thought Matt did everything just right. It was chef's kiss, the perfect breakup. Of course, do I have my issues with the fact that they would have to break up? Of course, because I think that they were utterly magical together on stage. And why couldn't they just sort of be in a casual-ish relationship to perform together? It's sort of apples and oranges, whether or not they're in love and whether or not they collaborate well musically. But obviously, I have exhausted that topic in my recap, so I will not waste my breath any further. So Jamie and Trevor go on their fantasy suite date, and I took note of a conversation they had here where Jamie talks about her struggles with self-worth, and Trevor talks about his struggles with his confidence and his artistry, his musicianship, his singing. They talked about who they are as people, not just who they were in relation to their romantic relationships. So yeah, this just really elevated it. I just feel like we don't get as much of this on The Bachelor itself, so it was really quite nice. My favorite moment here was when Trevor said, "Heartbreak is scary for anyone, but for you, I want to take that risk because you're worth it." And Jamie said, "I am." And it was just, it sort of felt like the perfect cap on her arc on this show, where she has clearly struggled with self-confidence, and she didn't say thank you for thinking I'm worth it. She said, yes, I am worth it. It was really, it felt like they had won in their own way. So Bree and Chris go on their fantasy suite date. Also just adorable, these two. I love how Bree said, "I want to get to know you on an emotional level. Anything past that I want to save and make sure it happens at the right time." I wrote in my notes, who are these ultra reasonable people? I love how she's pretty much like, we're good. We don't have to go to the fantasy suite to make things official, if you know what I mean, wink, wink. It's just like, we're good. We can let it happen naturally at the right time, and not because this TV show we're on is telling us when we should consummate our relationship. Gosh, they were so reasonable. And Chris also said, he's honestly, sometimes the things Chris says sound like lyrics. He said, "I look at you and literally can't believe that you were ever a stranger." Aren't they sweet? So now we're at the rehearsal, and I found this pretty frustrating to watch, the Brie and Chris rehearsal. Note how, because Rudy and Matt left, someone has to take the drama torch. And because Jamie and Trevor were off canoodling and having the very best time, it was easiest, I suppose, to pigeonhole Brie and Chris's frustration in this rehearsal as it being something wrong with their relationship. To me, it was obvious with this rehearsal that maybe they were a little underprepared, like maybe they hadn't had that much time. Chris was messing up the words. Brie wasn't sure what to do musically at this one section. I just felt like it was such heavy-handed editing here to make it seem like something had changed between them. There was even a voiceover of Brie's going, "Something changed. Gimme Love doesn't sound good." It was so chopped up to make it fit this narrative that there was something rocky going on in their relationship, when clearly it was just one of those rehearsals. Some of them are easy and some of them aren't. Like, I totally understand that. Okay, so it's performance time, and Jamie and Trevor go first. I thought this was really well done. They thought they sang great. I definitely think the most moving part to Jamie and Trevor's story is Jamie's, coming into her own and finding her footing on stage and just sort of becoming such a confident woman by the end of the season. I thought their first song was good, not necessarily amazing. I found it a little one note, like there wasn't a ton of range, which is generally how I feel from them. Like, I don't get a ton of colors. Their second song was certainly better. It definitely seemed like more of a country song and more up Jamie's alley. She was so familiar and like happy with it that it made me think that maybe it was like on her list of songs during casting or something. That said, it did feel like Trevor was sort of one of her backup singers for that song. I enjoy them on stage and I enjoy their story, but I think if you took their story away, would you pay money to see them in their current state on stage? Like, you don't know anything about them as like pertaining to this show, and you just are going to hear them sing together. I don't know if I would buy a ticket to that versus Brie and Chris. Taye Diggs worded it perfectly when he said, "I would pay money to see you guys." Exactly. And is that not what this is all about? Whether or not you would spend your hard-earned money to see an act on stage. And it, again, has nothing to do with who they are as people. You're not going to see celebrities. You're going to go see performers. I thought Brie and Chris killed this. It was unbelievable. Their first song, actually, I thought was even more epic than their second song. I had goosebumps for days. It was such, their voices were just so pure, and it was very moving. I also love that there were no sneaky kisses to sort of show their chemistry. I think that Jamie and Trevor were a little too reliant on that sort of cutesy aspect. I think that less is more. You can show how connected you are without stealing kisses. It's so literal to be like, look, we're in love. Mwah. I thought Rita Wilson's feedback was fantastic when she said watching them, it was so calm and grounded. And I agree. It was like you felt comfortable watching them. They did not make you more nervous for them or anything by how they were together. And it wasn't in any way forced. It was just so effortless. They were beautiful. Overall, I enjoyed Listen to Your Heart. I would absolutely watch this show again. I thought the length was perfect. I hope they don't mess with that if they come out with another season in the future. Do I have issues with the whole people must be in love or falling in love aspect? Of course, because it kind of gets in the way of the talent, and those are truly apples and oranges. Whether or not you're in love really does not speak to how moving a performance you can produce or how well you collaborate as musicians. And so it's worth questioning, if casual couples were allowed to date and Rudy and Matt therefore were still around, would Brie and Chris still have won based on talent alone? There's no way to really know. And I'm not bothered by that so much because I am happy that Brie and Chris won because I think they're absolutely deserving of it and worthy of that. But I do think that the message that Listen to Your Heart is going for is a little bit fuzzy. I'm not really sure whether it's a talent competition or a competition for love. It's having a bit of an identity crisis, as I've been saying all season. I kind of feel like they need to get that ironed out. I do think there's a certain magic to watching people get to know each other and getting to know them on a human level and then watching them perform. I think that's a really unique aspect to this show that you don't always see. And I thought the talent was really quite exceptional. I was very impressed. It was better than I was expecting it to be. So yeah, listen to your heart. I'm surprised I'm giving this thumbs up review, but I really am. Thank you guys so much for following along with me this season. I would love to know what you thought of it. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed Listen to Your Heart, didn't enjoy it, if you would watch it again, if you would watch a season 2. And yeah, thank you for following along with me, and I'll see you guys here when The Bachelor returns to our TV screens here on The Morning After. Bye.